one of our newscasters mispronounced the name of head of state, late President Abacha. You know, in Yoruba,
if you take cha and you put sha,
it means something else. So the next day, we just saw truckloads of DSS, and that means
really
our soldiers. Okay. Who read news last night?
I've never heard that one. That's the difference between soldier and police is that soldiers don't carry handcuffs.
Ask me why.
Why?
They don't intend to arrest you. They don't intend to arrest you. They are there to punish you. I would see some 19, 20 years. Hey, D1, hey, D1. And I would turn around like, I have children that are older than you. Who are you?
I thought I was the only one it bothered. Somebody say, Teju. I'm like,
I'm like, my first child is 33. This one is calling D1 as if we are mates. For someone that you climb a stage and 100,000 people are shouting your name, they are throwing things at you, they are throwing their panties on stage, they are shouting your name, you know, we love you. Look, we've been at a couple of shows that I've seen girls faint when Two-Face was performing. I
tell people that the biggest musical star that Nigeria has ever seen till date is not even a hip-hop artist. It was a Yoruba artist. There was nobody else.
Let me guess.
Well, guess.
But you must also be realistic that you cannot be on top forever. Asake is raining today. Remember 2 years ago, a year ago, Asake was everywhere. When's the last time you heard Asake in the last 2-3 months?
I was looking for on YouTube, and I had a young person who had no idea who he was. I'm like, you don't know. Baby ma ṣe bá mi wí o, ìyàwó mi ma ṣe bá mi jà, lálálẹ́ Friday. 2 yellow Hummers at the same time in the Nigerian entertainment industry.
My wife never left me. When did I ever tell anybody my wife left me that I was broke, that what? I've never been broke in my life. One in comedy, the man for ija ọ̀rẹ́, owó àtobìnrin. And my father always said, share. And that's where you put it together.
There is no doubt that Nigerian music has taken the world over. From North America to Europe to Asia and the Caribbeans and beyond, they love us. But that phenomenon didn't just happen. At the nexus, at the core and at the center of that are a few precipitating factors and some catalysts. And my guest today is definitely one of those precipitating factors and catalysts. On this one, I speak to the very charming Otunba Dayo Adeneye D1, aka Baba Oloye. This is the deep dive.
King of talk.
Baba Oloye.
What can I say? That intro, I had to listen carefully. Shame me no, is it me?
It is you. Speaking of which, do you know that you were the first person to actually say to me, King of Talk?
Wow.
Look, it was serendipitous. It was 2010. We were considering putting up a billboard. And that same week, as I was saying King of Talk, because my crew was calling me King of Talk, so they said put it on the billboard. I said, King of Talk. When I'm not a musician, it is musicians that call themselves
King of Juju,
King and this. Then I met you somewhere that same week, and you said to me, King of Talk. I'm like, well, I want let it go.
You know what they say now?
Yes.
As you call it, it manifests in your. It's. Look, we are very proud of what you do. You are one of those generation that continues to. You know what you do. And you know how to do it. You're one of the best at it. And to say you are King of Talk, it's not just an appellation. It's actually what you are and what you do.
Thank you.
And you've been at it for so long, and you continue to be relevant and good at it. So.
Thank you. Baba Oloye.
Oh God.
Look, see. It's so as I was thinking of this introduction, it occurred to me that how am I saying Otunba, Dayo, Adeneye, and at the end of it, I am not putting OON, CFR, MON. Are you saying, because I now went to Google and research, and I was convinced that Google was wrong. In fact, I went to Chat GPT, the AI engine, and I was convinced that both sources were wrong, that there is no way that neither you nor Babake, you don't have national honors.
Well, maybe when the people like the likes of you can help draw attention to it, it's one of those things. You are not the first to ask us to be sincere with you. But you know, Keke and myself, I've always felt what we did for entertainment, whether broadcast, radio, TV, or for music, as in, we did for the love of not just the job, but for the love of country, our contribution to nation building. And so if the powers that be don't deem it fit to honor us with that, and they feel the ones that we've helped to achieve that limelight and bring to the forefront are the ones that are desired. Some people that have been in the business 6 months that you are giving national awards to. But yeah, it's always crossed my mind that, did we do something wrong? Or is it that, are we somebody there that is fighting us, that the people that draw up this list, But we are hopeful that it will come. I'm not one of those that will say, no, I will turn it down. My father always said before he died, that, look, any honor given to you, as when you call Babaloye now, I turned down 3 chieftaincy title, offers. I'm too young to be a chief. Now, how can they be calling me chief? My father now called me and said, look, did the king that wanted to honor you, did he ask you for money? I said, no. Did he ask you to bring Igba Ebo Abi? I said, no. He said, that's his only way of honoring you and saying thank you to you. So go and accept it and go with it. So, yeah, I wouldn't say no to it if it's offered to me. And it's something that I would really like to have. That it shows that your nation appreciates you, appreciates your contributions to. Yeah. Even if they forget music, to broadcasting, people forget that we were broadcasters. People look at it, they only think, oh, Two-Face. I'm gonna discover Two-Face. They forget that we started on radio, first 24-hour, radio station, first 24-hour TV station with the AIT. So.
Yeah, true. See, this is amazing because again, as I said, it's best said in Yoruba. I was convinced that I wasn't doing. So I told my team, go and research. What do you mean they don't? They are probably too humble to put it at the back of their names. Maybe that's why. So it came as a shock to me. So I'm thinking to myself that, is it that, because there is no doubt that you are honored, you're venerated, you're respected, you're given your flowers and all of that. Because, for example, I will never forget that it might have been the very first edition of the Headies.
Yes.
The very first edition. I remember that you and Babakeke, you got Lifetime Achievement Awards. And I will always remember that because when your citations were being read, Ali Baba and I said to ourselves while we were sitting, we said once they call them, we will get up and go. As if we're... so as soon as he said, can you go there? Ali Baba and I got up as if we're and we walked to the stage and
I remember that. That was funny. And I think eventually Bob D joined us.
Yes, everybody came on stage. So I'm talking. I think the first Headies might have been 2000 and maybe 5 or 4 or something.
3 or 4.
Yes, that. I'm talking about 20 years ago now. Yes. So you've gotten that. But sometimes I believe I feel as if maybe it's a symptoms of the times in which we're living. I feel that maybe at the highest level or at the deepest level, they've forgotten what you've done. Let me put that in perspective. Before you came along, and this was when boys were becoming men, when we went to parties, all we heard was American music, foreign music. These were in the days of, whoa, Return of the Mac. And we used to pride ourselves on knowing all those. Mark Morrison. We would pride ourselves on knowing all those lyrics. We'll go, I was at the east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren. But you came, it started with you guys. I mean, there were other people, but a huge part of that credit has to be laid at the feet of you and Babakeke. You made our music acceptable to us. So that if you go to a party now, I'm telling people, if you go to a party now and you listen to music and it's Nigerian music from start to finish, to the extent that you become annoyed when the DJ plays something that is not Nigerian, that credit is laid at your feet. Do they get that?
Maybe they've forgotten. Sometimes it's easy for people to quickly forget. But we must also give credit where credit is. To be honest with you, when we started that, along with Dr. Raymond Dokpesi at that time, 24-hour radio broadcast, we were about Michael Jackson too. We played Michael Jackson, we played Tupac Shakur, Notorious B.I.G. That was what we were selling Dion. That was what we started. It wasn't as if we woke up and started Repower playing Nigerian music. But a couple of times, late Dr. Dokpesi would walk into the studio and he would frown. What are you boys playing? Play Sonny Ade now. Play Ebenezer Obey now. Don't you have Nigerian? Say, oh God, law, you don't know. This is Notorious B.I.G. This is Tupac. This is the latest. They're playing it in LA. He say, I know, but don't you want to promote something that is ours? But eventually it started to sink in. Like, wait a minute, this man it's not just, And one particular time he called our attention, look, go and find some local boys, find some local talent, turn them into superstars. We said, okay. He now said, okay, this Michael Jackson that you've been playing for how many years? Who is number one on your top 10 count? We say, Celine Dion. Who is number two? Whitney Houston. Have they called to say thank you that you play their music 15, 20 times per day? Has Michael Jackson ever sent you an email that thank you, KK and D1, I'm number one on your top? So he started to sink in. Wait a minute. So he said, find some local talent, boys that you can see on the street that can say, Egmont, thank you for playing my music, or thank you for, And that's how gradually we began to change our minds. It began to change our minds that, look, there are talents here that we can, offer our platform to, offer our assistance to, and play their music. And that was how it started for us. And we started to enjoy because Nigerians thankfully embraced it.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers the first... what people now say is the record that started it on me, Oshakomo.
Look, without you even telling me, that is how I remember it. That's the one. That no disrespect to every other person who came before them, but that's the one as I remember it.
We always try to give credit. We must always give credit to, the ones that came before. It's not like if Nigerian music. King Sonny Ade has been playing abroad.
Oh yes,
everywhere. Aaron Oshola played in Germany, played in France, played everywhere.
Oh yes.
Ebenezer Obey did his recordings in London, and so
Fela threw that thing down.
So it wasn't as if Nigerian music was not known outside of Nigeria, but on radio, for it to be played or to go to a party, or it's not an Owambe party.
That being the point. It's not as if our music was not played, but if you went to a party, it was the exception to have Nigerian music played back in the day.
And so, which ones would you even play? Aside from maybe Junior and Pretty.
Yeah.
Which other ones? Maybe unless you're just going, Juju, you say Sachin or Peters or.
Who would stand beside Adina Howard in those days? You're freak in the morning, freak in the evening.
As a matter of fact, we played that song so much. Dr. Dokpesi gave us a query. What is it? Which freak in the morning? But initially, he liked the song. He was like, play only you now. Find some local. But to God be the glory. Thank God that we also listened. And by this, I don't mean just myself and Keke. The rest of the on-air personalities to Sleep the Slickery of late. Tosin Dokpesi, Toun Okewale, Jumobi Adegbeson, Dennis the Menace. Everybody we all embraced it at the same time. Like, wait a minute. This man has something, Let us find these local talents. Let's promote them. These are boys that we play their music Monday through Friday. We now go for Grand Slam. They can jump on stage and sing those same songs we've been playing on radio. And people from Yanopaja, from Ogogomaiko, from even Ikoyi, they can say, I want to hear, I want to play radio. I heard that song on Tuesday. I heard this. So we started to build that repertoire of, people hearing the songs on radio and they could see the local stars. It's not the Michael Jackson we play for 3-6 months. And they don't get to see. And that's how Nigerians started to accept the idea of, we have our own stars, that we can make them shine. And we thank God that today, they are winning Grammys, they are winning BET Awards, they are selling out stadiums. And it just gives one a sense of pride, to have been part of that journey.
Okay, so speaking of High Chief Raymond Dokpesi, whom I was never really close to, although I always look forward to having an interview with him. You know, I was, but I kind of.
You never interviewed him?
No, I never did. I never could make that happen.
Wow.
You know, but I sort of felt like I knew him. I had an affinity to him through King Sunny Ade because of that song. Raymond Dokwesi me wakando. You know, I love that song. And then I remember I was emceeing an event at a hotel one of those times. I think it was the Vanguard Man of the Year Awards or something. And so he came to the stage to get something, maybe an award or present an award or be part of, you know, the people celebrating somebody who got, or whatever. And then he left and then he stopped and turned around and walked back to the stage and shook my hand. And he said, I love your program. You know, and that stayed with me. I seem to remember I was wearing a gray agbada as a matter of fact.
Wow.
So now, I know a bit of your history here and there. You are in Babakeke, you're in LA, your boy is having fun. And then Chief Dokwesi came and essentially convinced you to come back to Nigeria, yeah? Yes. Make the country better, which is the man that he is, or the man that he was. Yes. So, but here's the thing. I also know that you went to study broadcasting, radio and TV. So it's going to be the greatest serendipity in the world if you had studied broadcasting and radio and you were looking for how to implement it, and then Chief Dokwesi came along and gave you an opportunity. Or is it because he said come back that you now thought, what are we going to do? And then you went to study broadcasting. Which one came first? Was it the chicken or the egg?
No, actually we had graduated.
Okay.
Keke read accounting, I read business admin for our first degrees. So, you know, our parents in those days will insist, Onatiche masters, you must read, you know. Myself, I wanted to start partying. My dad said, look, just roju, loshe, tobatiche ton. You know, Keke and myself, we finished our masters in less than a year. As a matter of fact, I remember the head of the department refused to sign because he had never been done. 2 Nigerians came and finished the master's degree in 9 months. He refused that. How did they? We said, did we pass our courses? We did everything, and we had mostly A's. So he refused to sign that. It's not possible. It's never been done in this department. So you know what we did? We left. We went to Nigeria and we started partying. We didn't even collect our certificates. We only came back to collect it later. But that being said, we were looking to diversify. Like, okay, look, you've read accounting, I've done business. Let's do something different so that, what can we do? Okay, let's go and study, you know, mass communication, radio and TV for our masters. And we found a very good school. As a matter of fact, on campus, our classroom was a radio station. We also had a TV station. So when you resume for class in the morning, you actually enter the radio station, you did the full production, just as, you know, we've done this morning. Then in the evening, you go to the TV station, you would do a full production, news, whatever, edit, commercials. So, you know, they said luck is where opportunity meets preparation. So we were prepared.
Okay.
Yes, you said it's serendipity, but when you manifest things, I, for one, had always envisaged, I knew I wasn't cut out for an office job. I knew at a very young age, I can't sit at the desk from 9 to 5. Wasn't me. So the idea of radio and TV really appealed to me. So after we graduated, of course, we got jobs. I had an office job. Kenny also was doing his thing at the management job. So when that opportunity came with Dr. Dokwesi, and he said, look, hey boys, what's it go now? What are you contributing to Nigeria? Nigeria, okay? That everybody's saying, don't come. I said, look, it's not like that. You must have a way to contribute something to your nation. Now, what do you want to be remembered for 5-10 years from now? Yeah, I was looking at Kabakeke like, okay, what is this man talking about? I mean, I'm living in Hollywood. I just bought a brand new BMW. This man now said I should come to Nigeria and start from scratch. But eventually, it was able to get us down there. And it was tough. It was very tough. Beginnings of radio was very tough, especially in Nigeria, because we are everything from scratch. When we started the 24-hour thing, it was really difficult. People are American boys, yeah. And then the accents we had at that time, Nigerians were not buying. Yeah, what is this? All this talk, but most didn't know that we had schooled abroad, but eventually they accepted, and so we were prepared. We actually have master's degrees in radio and TV before the advent of Ray Power and AIT. So we were prepared.
Okay. So that's where for me serendipity might have come in. So, or maybe it didn't come in. So did Dr. Dokpesi have the licenses for broadcasting, or it was because of you that he now pursued those licenses?
Dr. Dokpesi, late Dr. God rest his soul, he's always been one of those. I think everything he's laid his hands on has always been things to contribute to. You know, he was heavily into shipping. I mean, I think he was one of the first to head an indigenous Nigerian shipping line. At that time, it was always, foreign, just like airlines in Nigeria. It's always, foreign shipping. It was one of the first to head a indigenous shipping. And when the opportunity came for radio and TV, like, Kenny, are you sure you guys can handle it? This is what we studied, okay? We can, and we started creating programs. So he went ahead and chased the license. I remember it was in the days of military.
Yeah.
That things were, and those days, radio was always the target of every military coup. That was how they announced their presence and took over government. So for a military government to give you a radio license that they cannot control or have access to when they want to plan a coup was not going to happen.
Yes.
But Dr. Dokpesi never gave up. He struggled and fought for it, got the license, and it took a lot of trust for them to, let him have it. But it also dawned on us that we're working on that platform to realize that, wait a minute, we must not fail this man up, because it was the first private. So if we had failed, believe you me, none of these other stations that had come up after would have materialized, because they'll say, look at the one we gave license, that they misused it. Yes. So the onus fell on us to make sure that we succeeded, put forward our best feet, and just did our absolute best.
So that's where I'm going. So it was your decision to go into radio and TV in Nigeria that precipitated Dr. Dokpesi seeking the license. Even though he might have had it in mind, but your decision to come and do radio and TV contributed to that.
Well, like I said.
Again, what I'm trying to establish is that AIT, was it as if AIT and Ray Power was existing before you came, and then you now jumped into it? You were there at the ground floor.
Yes.
Okay.
We're founding members.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get to. All of this again to say that sometimes, because you alluded to that in the beginning as well, you referred to that. It's that people forget that before the music, there were the broadcasters. And they were not just broadcasters who were brought into something that was an existing thing. This thing started in a conversation in Hollywood. Right. You boys, why don't you come back home? Yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I think I vividly remember, because he told us in his own story how he ended up in Nigeria, how a former president asked him to come back to Nigeria, to come contribute to his quota to nation building. Yeah. And he said, look, you guys, you have a lot to offer this nation, and I think, it's time for you to come back. But because we were still young then, young boys just trying to have fun and live the life, the American life now, but he was able to get us to, look, guys, come do it now. If you don't like it, you can always come back to your American, But we thank God that we listened to him, and he, of course, gave a lot of support. He wasn't one of those bosses that say it's my way or
the highway.
He let us have free reign. Oh, you have a program idea? Okay, no problem. How many presenters? Okay, what do you need? He gave us his absolute backing. We created all sorts of programs, from talk shows to musical programs to... He gave us that platform. You guys go wrong with it. Just don't run afoul of the law.
Yes.
Don't abuse the powers that be. And if you do, have a reason for it. Because we did cross the line a couple of times. We did. You can't have a broadcast.
Like what? Well, can you remember one example where you crossed the line?
I remember, some of those times you would play music that had, the F word and the curse words, and NBC would always have fines because you couldn't. But Dr. Dokpesi would pay them because, some of those records didn't have the clean versions. Okay. But because our audience liked them, we would play them, and the fines will come. But he would say, you know what? We say, okay, is the number one. And it's okay, no problem. And I remember this second one. This one is very clear in my head. I remember this very vividly. One of our newscasters mispronounced the name of head of state. And I don't know if I want to say the name.
Please, you must say it. I'm thinking, if it was military, I think it's safe now, where that is many years behind us. And it was an honest mistake. So
Well, we couldn't determine at the time whether it was or not. But I think late President Abacha was head of state, and he mispronounced the name. And you know, in Yoruba,
I see. If you take cha and you put sha,
it means something else. So the next day, we just saw truckloads of DSS and armies.
Really?
Our soldiers. Okay. Who read news last night? Abageke and myself, we just pretended that we were assistant. Let's go and look for the general manager. Before I knew it, everybody done jackpot. But they picked up a couple of people that, which one of you insulted the head of state? You know, but of course.
Really? That was a real thing. For simply mispronouncing the name. And so if this person was one of those people who couldn't say church and say shush, and he made that mistake, and so instead of saying Abacha, he said Abasha.
There you go.
Which was what happened.
You said it.
That's what happened.
That's what happened. But you're talking about the days of military. So that even if the head of state didn't hear it, if his minions heard it, or his lieutenants or whoever heard it, and they are insulting our Oga, you know how soldiers they continue even today to deal with people. You know, they only hear one side of the story. No, they're not going to come and ask you, and what did you mean? You know what they say about the difference between soldiers and police now. Soldiers don't carry handcuffs.
Oh, I've never even heard that one. I've never heard that one. But the difference between soldier and police is that soldiers don't carry handcuffs.
Ask me why.
Why?
They don't intend to arrest you. They don't intend to arrest you. They are there to punish you. They don't have handcuffs because they are not there to arrest you. They are there to deal with the situation, suppress the situation.
Wow, I'd never thought about that before.
So when a truckload of soldiers land in your office, you know there's meant to be trouble. You don't have any time to start explaining, sir, this is what you meant, and this is the script, sir. This is no. So, but as a matter of fact, our general manager then was picked up. I spent a couple of days in detention until late Chief Dokpesi was able to extricate him with proper explanation.
That's the word, though. It's not get him out. It's extricate. Extricate talks about dealing with it delicately, as if you're using forceps to perform an operation. You extricate the man. Okay.
So broadcasting was tough. It was tough because everything we said was being listened to, was being assessed for threat, for content. Not these days when, and in those days, NBC was very, very strict. You couldn't just go to the microphone and, you would spend a couple of years as an apprentice watching how you carry records and, see how the Ambrosio days do it, Steve the Speaker. You don't just go to the microphone and just start. You will learn for a couple of, but it was tough. It was tough, but it was fun. We had fun with it, blazing new trails and...
I gather that. By the way, what I should have started with was that, Baba Oloye, this is how can you in all good conscience, look at me and call me babyface. Look at you. They say you are 63. This is impossible. I mean, look at you. Do you look a day over 50 in your own mind?
Did you? There's some people God has blessed, and you are one of those people. You don't look a day older than the last time I saw you.
But not apart from the white beard, neither do you.
Mine is even intentional. The white beard is intentional because of the moniker they gave me as D1.
Yeah.
I would see some 19, 20 years. Hey, D1, hey, D1. And I would turn around like, I have children that are older than you. Who are you?
I thought I was the only one it bothered. Somebody say, Teju. I'm like,
my first child is 33. This one is calling D1 as if we are mates. Okay, jẹ́ ká fi rùn mọ́lẹ̀ náà bóyá tán bá tiẹ̀ rí white beard máa wò pé máa yí dàgbà díẹ̀ jẹ́ ká So no, we thank God for the blessings. We're able to take care of ourselves and maintain, the youthful looks. Some people Yoruba people say, ẹ fẹ́ dàgbà ni. No, a fẹ́ dàgbà ká dògbó. But we don't want to look like, we don't want to look 70 when you're actually 60.
As they say, we don't want to look like what we've been
through. So we thank God. You continue to look not even a speck of gray.
Well, I try. I try. Well, the thing is, now I say that to say that the tendency is for younger people to look at older people who are achieving, especially the achievers, the tendency is to look at them and to think that they are old. So that when you're 18 and you see Keke and D1 on TV, you think they are old because they are older than you and they are achievers. I remember, I always say, for example, that I will never forget watching Alhaji Sikiru Ayinde Barrister's Barry at 40. And thinking to myself as a child in primary school then, that 40 long. These are old men, you
40,
know.
but man, it's Dagba
40. These are old men.
And now that you are 40,
I'm past 40, I'm like,
yeah.
Really? So that's why I am. So how old were you and Keke Baba Keke when you were doing all those things? See on Primetime Jams, for example.
We were in our 30s.
Okay.
We were in our late 20s to early 30s.
Really?
Yes. I mean, you're talking 20-something, almost 30 years ago? 1994, 1997?
Okay. Let me tell you why that stays with me. That's what I had to get. There was the Kenny's Easter Jam, where you brought, Easter at that Fiesta. Time, Easter Fiesta, where now it is normal to see King Sunny Ade at a party. I think social media has also helped that. So you see KSA a lot more these days, right? But back when you brought KSA to headline the Easter Fiesta, it was unheard of for you to bring KSA to a party, right?
And he's not the headliner by himself.
Yes, he's not. I mean, they were all other people. So I remember thinking then that KSA, and so it was all over town how much Keke and D1 paid KSA. So how old were you at that time when you were pulling off those amazing things?
We were in our 30s, early 30s.
Man.
We were not. I don't think we were 40 yet. We were in our mid to late 30s. Look, we had a lot of energy. Like I said earlier, I thank God. I think the schools we went to opened our minds to the possibilities. One of our professors, when we were doing our masters, used to always tell us, look, the world is just your oyster. Just look for it and look for how you can contribute to it and how you can make a change. Blaze your own path. He always said, if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door. Always find a way to contribute to society. And so we always thought big. You know, if you're going to think at all, think big. We never thought anything was beyond us. You know, based on King Sonny. Yes, now let him headline, let him, you know, and we thought, well, Patapa, you will say no, but we will convince him you have to partner. And when we asked him, he didn't say, when do you need me? What time? Well, and he was very gracious, and it was a big deal, yes, like you said, and Nigerians loved it. And as a matter of fact, I think the following year, Shina Peters.
Now, I think one of the following years, whether it was the following year or the year after that, was K1.
Yeah, well, we had all of them. We had K1, we had Shina Peters. So at that, do I remember if we had Ayuba? No, but we had K1. We had Shina Peters. I think Shina Peters even headlined a couple of times for. We even flew to London together and did the Kenny Sister Fiesta in London as well.
Okay, awesome. Now, you are the boss of a record. In fact, ẹ̀yin àgbà lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́sọ wípé the elders say, they say ìgbàlà ni ẹnìkan ò lólé ayé gbó ọba mẹ́wàá ìgbà mẹ́wàá ló ní ilé ayé. They say that ẹ sọ fún aṣọ tuntun wípé àkísà náà ó ti lògbà rí, meaning that nobody reigns forever. And as the boss of a record label, the biggest record label in Africa, as the boss of it, you've seen careers come and careers go. So I have a couple of questions around that. First of all, how do the biggest artists handle the dip in their careers? How does this person, whom thousands of people were shouting his name, how does he handle the fact that all of a sudden he begins to see that ebb and disappear? How do they handle that? To see a boy who was a rat, in the manner of speaking, the boy who used to carry your shoes and who wanted to be you, to see that boy rise and eclipse you and see people push you out of the way to go watch that boy, how do they handle it?
I'm glad you went back to the other side of it, because I also want to say, when you see or you meet someone, like yesterday didn't have 10K. like you said, well, I don't want to use the word nobody, but knew he had talent, but nobody, like maybe except his friends, knew, Tunji can rap, or, he can do this, or he can sing. And then a couple of weeks or a couple of months, blows up. Everybody's listening to his song on radio. The person that didn't have 10K is now being endorsed by some telecom company. He's now performing at shows for 1, 2, 3, 4 million. He's doing 3, 4 shows. Today, everybody now knows him in the neighborhood. He's moved from his Yanokpaja house. Mm-hmm. He now lives in VI. He lives in Lekki. He's now a big boy. The police have they throw away salute. Money down, How do they handle the fame and the fortune? Mm-hmm. That's the first part. Because the way you handle fame and fortune also determines how you handle yourself when it's no longer there. But we've always, someone asked me a question during one of our previous interviews and said, look, because at the height of Kenny's music, we had over 50 artists on the label. Including, when you talk of, Lagbaja was signed to us at that time. We had everybody, gamut, from gospel to hip hop to Fuji. We had everybody on the label. And one person asked, how do you manage the egos or how do you look for this? How do you know that this person is going to become a star? And he said, it's instinctive. There's this, you can't describe it, but you just know that this guy wants it by all means. I'll give you a very good example. Tony Tetwila. Tony wasn't the best dancer. He didn't have the best voice. But Tony he had that zest, that zeal that I want to do it. I'm meant to do this. This is what I want to do. Just give me space, give me time, let me do my thing. And the world embraced him and took him as is and said, look. So there's this instinct that you can sit across from someone and know that, okay, this guy wants it bad. We just need to put a little bit of support, put a bit of Kenny's music magic behind, put a little bit of primetime magic behind them. This person is going to the moon. So when they handle themselves properly, but we also we would look carefully and say, look, this one, this one that the star, in demand, the house in VI, and 2 Jeeps in 2 Land Cruiser. There's some instinct that you say, even if this one makes it, so you can tell the ones that will be level-headed when the fame and fortune comes, and able to accept when the star starts to dim. Nobody dances forever. Even Michael Jackson, at the point, the star started to dim. James Brown. So you have to understand that there were people before you. Yes, you are the man on stage now, but there must come a time you must exit the stage. How well you take it now depends on your personality, how you've handled yourself, you prepared yourself, whether you saved, you've invested, whatever money. But it's tough, like you said, for someone that you climb a stage and 100,000 people are shouting your name, they are throwing things at you, they are throwing their panties on stage, they are shouting your name, we love you. Look, we've been at a couple of shows that I've seen girls faint when Two-Face was performing. We went to a tour in Côte d'Ivoire, and we thought it was a joke. We brought this girl on stage, and she hugged Two-Face and passed out. As a matter of fact, during that concert, 4 girls fainted. And these were people who don't speak English. But they knew the lyrics of all his songs, word for word. This was a francophone country. And 4 girls fainted at that concert. We thought, no, it's over. But the ambulance had to come and take them just because they were in the presence of Two-Face. They fainted. So when you now talk of someone like that now, how do they now start to deal with somebody that has performed on the stage and people are fainting? And now in the later stages of his career, not getting as many shows, or maybe not getting the crowds, or not getting the same adulation, and it takes a special human being to handle it. And and not everybody handles it well. Some turn to drugs, some turn to it's but for the grace of God. We as well have gone through it.
Yeah, but it's different. Again, it's It's that mellow that comes with the hustle. I think when you're the hustler who's been behind. I mean, you know, there's a certain, how do you call it? Is the slow burning flame. That slow burning flame allows you to handle it better as opposed to when it just comes bam. I don't want to mention names. I will not mention names, and I'm going to even try not to describe it too much, lest people know who I'm talking about. I tell people that the biggest musical star that Nigeria has ever seen till date, relatively speaking, in terms of impact, the level of available technology at the time, and all of that, is not even a hip-hop artist. It was a Yoruba artist. When this guy was on top, there was nobody else. For those years...
Let me guess.
Well, guess.
Sashina Peter.
All SSP. I try to tell people they don't understand.
You see...
That we haven't seen Shino's kind of fire since. I know it's hard for you to put it in perspective given what is going on right now with our music. But trust me, you haven't seen Shino's fire.
You see, this is where you and I, we owe the next generation Alati Soiton and tell them the story and the history. That the Afrobeats, quote unquote, that they are enjoying today, it didn't appear out of nowhere. It didn't just start with whoever you think is on top now. Sunny Ade has been nominated for over how many Grammys? I didn't win. But it's been going, it's been playing. You are not the first artist to be signed by a foreign label. Sunny was signed by Virgin Records. Fela has been playing Berlin, playing everywhere. You are not the first. Lagbaja has played. It's not. Femi Kuti has been nominated over 10 times for Grammys. They might not have won, but they caught the attention of somebody. You know? So we have to tell, you and I have to continuously tell that story. Sashino Peters, at the height of his fame, without any social media promotion, crossed boundaries, crossed ethnicities. They played Shino Peters more in Igbo land.
They played it so much that Shino released a song saying that wọ́n ní Shino Yorùbá ò gbà ti Shino Hausa àti Igbo nìkan ló ń gbọ́ irọ́ lẹ̀ ń pa Yorùbá o Hausa o Igbo o ọmọ Nàìjíríà lápapọ̀ wọ́n ń jíjó wa. Do you know how much you have to be successful in other parts of Nigeria for them to say that Yoruba people are not listening to your music?
No, so it's good for us to tell that story and tell it and continue to tell them. You see, the one thing I admire about you, you see the songs and the records that our parents played, because when I listen to you, you always quote a lot of those songs. Whether it's Sunny Ade, whether it's Obi, there's a lesson in every song. There's a lesson. Ori mi ye oja, ja fun mi, eda mi ye oja.
Atori láyé sẹ́, tó bá lọ síwájú, atún lọ sẹ́yìn o.
Because that's the way life is. It's simply telling you, look, today might be good, tomorrow you take it all in its stride, but in all, you must continue to live life. And open your eyes. Atorilaye, when it's good for you, you have 20 million friends.
Benny.
When it starts to dip, so all those songs that you listen to growing up that we learned from, some of this new Gen Z, they don't have access to it. You know, yes, every generation has its, but we listen to those songs and we continue to learn, and I try to teach my kids. I will play those songs and I say, what do you think this song is saying? What do you think, son? What do you think? Tell me, interpret it for me. Well, sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. But we owe it to them to continue to tell these stories. Yeah. They don't know.
They don't know.
You know, some of them will see Sashino Peters and not greet him. Because they will think, how many followers does he have?
On one occasion,
I have 20 million followers.
On one occasion, I remember, Sashino Peters was in traffic. Back in the day, was in a Honda. On an expressway. Slowed down just a bit, and they heard that Shino Peters was in the car. And they came out they shut down the entire road. Wow. This was before. You're talking before social media. We didn't even have cell phones. Social media, long. In fact, we didn't phones. Even the landlines were maybe one house in an entire street of maybe 30 houses, and then you will receive calls in that house. Then they say, "Hold on, look, I want number 7." That's what he achieved back then.
Wow,
that's amazing.
It is.
Yeah. It's just something else.
It is.
Okay, so do you prepare as the boss, as the record boss, the label owner? Do you begin to see when an artist star is about to start dimming? Because I found that nobody sees it coming. No matter how much you think you're prepared, and nobody even prepares, it just seems to almost come suddenly, which is why you find people usually stranded, at least financially. All of a sudden, you are asking them, where's the money from all the records you sold, all the shows you went to? It seemed to be a symptom of the suddenness of the decline. So it seems that the person himself, the artist himself, never sees it coming. But I wonder, as the boss, do you see it coming even before it comes? That as we are looking at this thing,
Well, I mean, to be honest with you,
or does it buy logigi? Does it come to you suddenly?
No. You understand the business, and you understand human nature. Once you understand that, nobody stays on top forever. Just like any athlete, Usain Bolt 10 years ago is not the same Usain Bolt 5 years ago. So same with artists. Michael Jackson at his peak, anything that goes up must come down. So it's not like we sit around and wait for it, but we have a roster. Look, we will take you, promote you maximally for 2 years. We'll move on to the next. There's a rotation. So what you also do to maintain that status, maintain your stardom, some are prolific writers. We have some artists that write, like Idris. Idris writes. He continues to write. Some are laid back and tell Ibati, I'll sing this one first, I'll wait 3 months, or I'll, do this song, or when the next album is due, they will come and call me. So you see the different characters in each person. You see the different style of hustle. Some are laid back hustlers. Some are aggressive. When is my new song? Mo fẹ́ ṣe video now. I want the Hummer Jeep in my video. I want this. Some are more aggressive about it. But no matter how aggressive you are, how laid back you are, there's a time limit for everybody. There's a shelf life for artists, and it's usually 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
The average artist's shelf life is 3 to 5 years.
Let's hang in there for a minute, Babami. So you're saying now, this is what you're saying based on your experience, that anybody who is on top right now, just know that your shelf life is 3 to 5 years. So in another 5 years now, if you're on top right now, in another 5 years, there is a great extent and degree to which you might not be on top again.
But for the grace of God, and then for maybe 1 in a million, you have the exceptions to the rule.
Mm-hmm.
Like a King Sunny that has been playing for 50 years, or Ebenezer Obey. But when you look for his contemporaries, Emperor Pick Peters, where are they? The other, disrespect to one.
Yes.
But when you Ogun Omode,
you
understand? There are exceptions to the rule. Two-Face has been able to do it for over 20 years. Wizkid is approaching the same. But look at the track record of all those that did on the scene the same time he did Holla at Your Boys. Where are they today? Yes, there are 1 or 2 exceptions to the rule, but the average at 3 is 3 years.
What is it? Is it just luck? Is it just fortune? Is it just Ori and Mutonwa? Is it just your Eleda? Is it something you selected before you got here, or is it something you can work towards to make happen?
It's a combination of everything. Knowing if you are prepared, like I said, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. If you know that, look, like right now, Afrobeat is ready. Before Afrobeat, it was hip-hop now. Before hip-hop, it was reggae. It was R&B.
It was R&B.
Everything has its time. So you as an artist must also be able to diversify or move with the times. But if you are doing the same thing you've been doing every day and you think you can do that for 20 years, I mean, look at Two-Face. The way Two-Face sang and wrote in his first album is not the same as today. The different collaborations he's doing collabos with some of the younger ones. So you as an artist must also be prepared to be fluid. Some are rigid. Some will say, no, especially some of our reggae brothers, no, my reggae must be pure, it must be this.
Must be conscious.
It must be.
That's the word they use, I believe. Conscious.
So if that's what your niche and your but be prepared to deal with the limitation that comes with it. So I think it's a combination of everything. You must continue to hustle. You must continue to adapt. But you must also be realistic that you cannot be on top forever. Humans are very finicky. Ashake is raining today. Remember 2 years ago, a year ago, Ashake was everywhere. When's the last time you heard Ashake in the last 2-3 months? And I don't say this out of, but it just tells you that everything has its up, it plateaus, and it starts to come down. And as record label executives, we've seen it. And we've learned from the experience that, look, and you learn to roll with the punches. Because your audience, the people are buying the records, or the people are listening to it, they're very finicky as well. They get tired, they get fed up. The other one, you see. That's the way human beings are. Nobody wants to eat bread and ewa every day. Bread, you know, or me bread. That's the way we are as human beings, and that also transfers into the things that we listen to, whether it's music, whether it's clothes. Nobody wants to wear the same t-shirt every day now. You want a difference, you want a change,
even if it's the same color you're wearing, you want new ones every day. Even if you're Steve Jobs wearing the black turtleneck and the blue jeans, it's not the same pair.
Exactly.
Not that same one you want.
The same thing applies to music. The listening ears are very finicky. And they get tired very quickly. Isn't there another artist? So you must learn as an artist that you won't be on top forever. So while you are there, make hay while the sun shines.
Yes.
Tie things down, make proper investments, make room, and make plans for when you are no longer able to earn the same amount of money you are earning now, because you will not. The people that are paying you $1 million per show today, next year might not offer you 500,000. So when you are at the top, put solid investments down, tie things down, so you can continue to live that life that you've always envisaged for yourself.
Do you consciously teach your artists this though? At the time when it is popping and hot, do you tell them this?
We tell, even before we sign you. And like I said, we always look at the temperature or the attitude, the vibe of the artist. Some have a lot of talent, but you will run into some that they have talent, or you know that, but you will see the attitude like, this one, and who wants to make money with somebody that, me, I don't like wala, I don't like stress. Baba Keke too, Baba Keke is Baba Keke doesn't like one. So you don't want an artist that one day, 1 week, one trouble, one
1 week, one trouble.
With enough respect to Tony, 1 week.
1 week, one trouble.
No respect to my brother, Tony, 1 week. So those are things consciously in the back of our heads, like, wait a minute, do we really, So a lot of artists like that we didn't sign, but we will still help. We don't have room now, but bring your album, let's help you promote, and we would find a way to still assist without. So you can see it, you can sense some of the things that look, but we are happy that a lot of them listened. A lot of them were able to make fine, wise financial decisions, and are able to sustain themselves and are okay. I can't think of any Kenny's music artist, at least me, I can't think of that. Ended up in penury or anything. They've all gone on to live their lives and are doing well.
Okay. Did you miss, because nobody gets it right all the time, was there ever an artist whose potential you did not see and whom you turned down, who went on to be big? You misjudged that potential. Was that ever a case? Where, we missed that one. We should have signed that one. We never saw this coming. We missed it.
To be honest with you, no. And I say that with all sense of sincerity. We've always looked at, I personally, I don't go into anything for the money. We thank God that we're able to make money from what we do, whether broadcasting or music or entertainment. There's an artist, I'm reluctant to mention the name. There were 3 or 4 that we knew. We knew, but at the time the label, we had our hands full. We were doing 12 programs on radio and TV every week, 12. Shoot, edit, coupled with the music business, and we were doing our hands were full. So we directed this person to a neighbor record label and said, look, go to
Okay, so you knew they were going to be big, but you just couldn't take them on.
Everybody has the potential to break out, to be honest with you, given the right support, given the right... Are you with me? This thing is not a magic formula. You can tell if the talent is there, it's there. If it will be embraced by the listening audience, you can usually tell from the first 2 or 3 strokes when they open their mouth and sing. So we knew already that this has the potential, but at the time we just couldn't accommodate on the label. If we had signed, it would have been a disservice to that person because the roster wouldn't allow us to get to that person for the next 2-3 years. Remember I said at the height, we had over 50 artists on the label. So it would be been a disservice.
There are people whom people don't even... I don't want to... Again, it's hard to talk about some of these things without sounding as if you're dismissing people or being disrespectful. But I mean, I was looking for on YouTube, and I had a young person who had no idea who he was. I'm like, you don't know. Baby ma she ba mi will, ìyàwó mi ma she ba mi ja, la la le Friday. I mean, you don't know that. It's, man.
That's why you and I, we must continue to teach and we must continue to tell the stories. Something went viral, I believe, early this year at a party. One of the younger Gen Z artists apparently went to greet some King Sunny Ade and shook his hand.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
Where people like myself and Keke will...
One not only.
So, and we didn't say anything, but the viewing probably felt the disrespect. Okay, tó bá tiẹ̀ mọ̀ pé King Sunny Ade ni wàá ṣáàdé gbàgbàlagbà ni wọ́n. Are you with me? So it's important that we must continue to teach, because this generation, a lot of what they learn from social media, they learn online, and some of us as parents, we've abdicated these responsibilities, and we just let them. They asked me, go and Google it, don't disturb me. Who was go and find? But we must teach and continue to remind them, this is our essence, this is our culture, this is who we are. Omoluabi. We must continue to remind them and tell them the history. And I love the way you brought out the respect I have for SSP. You know, some people would discount, they would look and say, who is this? What are they doing here? But the records SSP broke, the boundaries he brought down. Without social media, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Without, do you know what it is to have your record played in the East?
And you sang in Yoruba.
And played in the North, Kano, Kaduna. They are playing
I will never forget. So we're back at SSP. I will never forget that I was in primary 5. And again, everything you heard on radio. In fact, I remember that then was when Radio Nigeria 3 had just come. I think it was 3 then. It was the latest station. And I will never forget the words of the advert. Bó ṣe lè ṣe ló ṣí tó fẹ́ ká yóò gbọ́, bó ṣọjà ló ń tà ló fẹ́ kéèyàn mọ̀, àgàgà bọ́ sílé ìtura ọ̀rá ẹ wá polówó rẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ wa, and all of that. And they will jam Shino. So I remember my mom took us to a friend's house. I was in primary 5, and as soon as we got in, her 2 daughters, who were teenage girls, then rushed up to my mom. Auntie me, Auntie Rashino Peters. I'm like, what the? And they brought the album out. Ace. They brought out Auntie Rashino Peters. It was something else.
My brother, remember before we started the show, I asked you about your collection of records.
Yeah.
I still have my father's, because those albums, they had this nostalgic feeling to them. When Sunny Ade comes out and my dad brings that record home, you want to feel it, you want to...
And then they would sign it. They would sign it with the date. That's the part that freaks me out. My father would sign it, so you would know the date. March 1983. You'd see it there.
So we had an attachment. We had to those things. So she's not just freaking out because where would you even see the record to buy? There were maybe 2 or 3 records. So there you went to you had to look for those records. Not now that you can just open your phone. You are just playing. So some of this our generation, they don't have any attachment. They move in between genres of music. But in those days, you would have to look for those records. And that's why we still remember those nostalgic days that we're not the only Sunny Ade, we're not the only Guinea.
You know, speaking of, so part of what I wanted, or rather part of why I wanted to do this with you are the things we're doing now. Because one other person that I think, as far as I'm concerned, all of this superstardom thing, right, this new age Afro beat, if I might call it that, this hip hop thing, as far as I'm concerned, with no disrespect to any other person, the first major superstar that we had, the first cross-continent, crossing countries across the African continent that we had, as far as I remember, was the Golden Boy. In fact, that was what they called him, the Golden Boy of Africa. Was Tony Tetwila, as far as I remember. There were big stars in Nigeria, but as far as I remember, Tony was the man who first started to cross Ghana, Cameroon, and all of Tony. I told somebody recently, I said Kenny's music had this roster of artists that was endless. And then whoever was not even on their label, when it was time for the Easter Fiesta, they would pay that person and bring that person to perform anyways. I said, so in a night, you'd have a roster of 20 artists, big time stars easily. I said, to give you perspective as to how big Tony was, it was Tony who would close the show. And we would all wait
Tony to perform
till 5 a.m. for Tony to perform. I just needed to state that again.
Everything with its time. You see, I'm happy that you remember and you are saying it. And that's why it's important for us to tell the story, to tell the history. Some people have been ahead and they've blazed the trail. They've opened the doors for you to walk in, not just walk in, for you to run and then fly. And when you see them, even if you don't see them, acknowledge them. Acknowledge their contributions. Thank them if you can. Because without them, you might not have gotten to where you are today. And that's the truth. That's just the honest to God. Because if they had not broken down those barriers, gotten on radio, gotten played, got Nigerians to embrace, you don't hit my car, you might not have been able
to... Got in an international collabo with a TikTok from Ghana. Fefe, now the beauty of a woman.
Got Ghanaians.
Yeah.
Because at that time, the only Nigerian music I was crossing over was High Life. You either have to be Osita or Sadebe or maybe Fela, or those were the only things that other nations.
Yeah, you have to be one of the institutions, one of the establishments.
So for you to now start crossing over, somebody started that. And even if we are going to be honest, it didn't start even with Tony. Even was only they won't play in Cote d'Ivoire, one play.
Oh yes.
King Sunny, somebody sent me a video where King Sunny Ade was performing in Japan in 19.
Oh yes, I mean he touched down with his agbada. He came down from the plane in his agbada.
This is a country where they don't speak English.
That's 1983, by the way. That's 1983. As a matter of fact, King Sunny Ade's song was in the Hollywood movie O.C. and Stiggs as far back as the 80s, and he performed live in the movie. Myself
and ID went to a show. I believe it was 1981 or 82, Hollywood Palladium, and the performance was recorded live. And the Oyinbos, 90% of the audience was Oyinbo, white, and they were singing the songs, even though they might not have understood.
Yeah.
But they were vibing to it. So if a King Sunny Ade was performing in Hollywood in 1981-82, if King Sunny Ade that bought a Rolls Royce in the 70s, a Rolls Royce
in London
with a driver
stationed. So
there. What do you think you are doing that's new because you bought a Lamborghini? You think you are the first? Are you with me? So have a bit of respite, have a bit of So it all goes back to your previous question when you said, do these people see it coming? If you know your history, you would know that, look, some have done it. Yeah. If you ask a King Sunny Ade now, he will probably tell you, Rolls Royce, what do I need it for? But at the time, he said he wanted one. He's always wanted one, and he got it. You know, so it all adds up when you are on top. Just enjoy it, enjoy the vibe, live the life, contribute your quota, but also remember and always remember, nobody stays on top forever. Whether you are president or you're a footballer or you're a singer, one day it will plateau. And to start to drop, and you will have to exit. And if you don't exit, they will tell you, they will force you. You know. Wá máa lọ.
Hey. Speaking of cars, Baba Oloye, speaking of cars,
Yes, sir.
Please, it couldn't have been just altruistic. You and Baba Keke knew what you were doing. Two yellow Hummers at the same time in the Nigerian entertainment industry. It was a calculated move, right? Right? You knew it was about showbiz. Because those Hummers, I don't think you bought them just not knowing what effect they would have, because they had that effect on all of us.
You have to remember now, back then, entertainment wasn't lucrative. It wasn't attractive. I will tell you my own story. When I came back to Nigeria, first my father was against it. Hey, Nigeria, you're coming back to Nigeria to come and do what? Dollar has gone from 1 naira to 20. It has gone to 60 naira, and you're coming back. Stay abroad and be earning your money and be living your life for. So when I did say no, I'm coming back, and can you come? Okay, so what are you going to do? You are going to start your own accounting firm? No, I'm going to be a radio presenter. DJ Lufemashi. He didn't even say a word. He called my mother. Repeat what you just said. DJ Lufemashi. The son that I sent to abroad to America to go and read accounting, read business, and he wants to work on radio. So then it wasn't lucrative. It wasn't a. But like I said earlier, I always knew I wasn't cut out for an office job. I wanted to do something fun, something that I loved. But my father was adamant, no, DJ. He almost sent my mother packing out of the house. That your son that I sent to abroad.
Yes, in their words, Omo Dada, Omo Baba.
Let me tell you. But later on, after the Power success, opened more branches in Abuja, Kaduna, and Ray Power was really doing well. And one particular day, I invited him over. I said, "Oh, come and see what." Of course, at that time, on the street, when I would go and visit him, and the kids would come out and be like, do you want? And he would look, so you know him. They know me. One more, one more. So at that time, he started to have an idea and people would go to his house. Baba Diwan, I'm record you for I want no talent, and doctors will bring their children to him. And they say, "Only in Baba Diwan, my son has talent." Baba. So he started to have an understanding that okay, maybe these boys are doing. And one particular day, I asked my driver to go and bring him to Ray Power. And on that particular day, guess who one of the guests was in the studio? King Sunny Ade. I think he came to say hello to Dr. Dokwesi. And then he stopped in the studio. They were interviewing him and we were talking when my father walked in. He couldn't even approach. He just stood in the corner. And King Sunny Ade, King Sunny Ade, Mama Ponwale. When King Sunny Ade sees you, he will be saying sir to you.
They call you
When my father saw the way King Sunny Ade was relating with us, King Sunny Ade, of course we were humble about it, but the way, so that was when my father realized that wait a minute, these boys are onto something. He's doing what he loves. He's getting mileage or whatever he's doing for me. And from that day, he started to change his attitude towards my radio and entertainment job. And as a matter of fact, people will tell me later, they'll say, "Hey, this was the man that told me I couldn't work on radio." But we thank God that we were able to make them proud. We were able to get them to see what they didn't see, that look, there's opportunity in everything. So when going back to the Hummers, because what we did in this part of the world, it wasn't seen as lucrative. Music wasn't seen as a corny. Music was seen as something for people that couldn't make it in life. It's your office job. You didn't pass schools as well. So we were deliberate that, look, we must make this. Because we had lived in Hollywood. Remember I told you we lived in Hollywood. And we had seen how stars lived. They drove nice cars, wore nice clothes. So we were going to be deliberate about it. We were going to live life but at a good level. So if you come to me and say, look, I want you to do 1, 2, 3 for me. Wàá kọ́kọ́ wò mí látòkè délẹ̀, o dẹ̀ rí mọ́tò tí mo gbé wá. So o ní fìlọ̀kulọ̀ lọ mi. You won't price me at 50K. When you see my car, now you will comport yourself. You know, I will tell you. So it was deliberate, and being yellow was also deliberate.
Yeah,
It might have seemed loud, but at that time, one of the telecoms companies they were looking for new creative ways to advertise their products. And what better way than to brand 2 yellow Hummers? I think there were only 3 in the whole of Nigeria at that time. Lieutenant Connemara had the 3rd one. So when you see 2 yellow Hummers with MTN written on it, driving out, and we would drive it to the awards, and people would take pictures with it. So they were spreading MTN's adverts. So we got paid heavily to brand those Hummers. As a matter of fact, the endorsement we got almost paid the value of those Hummers. So,
man, it was.
So yes, it was deliberate. I will tell you, we went to, there was a company we had been negotiations and discussions. They wanted to do some, really one of our multinational companies. So we drove the 2 Hummers there, parked right where the MD is supposed to park. The amount we had been asking for, that is, the Kenyan didn't want like a Wogon Shara. But when we pulled up in 2 Hummers, they began to, okay. Maybe they are
with the nameplate Keke D1.
Maybe they are worth it. Maybe they are worth it. They are worth it. So how you present yourself and package yourself also determines how you'll be priced and how you'll be remunerated. You can't pull up in a Volkswagen and be asking for a contract of 500 million. Okay. But if you pull up in a Rolls Royce, or you pull up in the respect of where they will start with you will be at another level.
So there are things that those things do. Much as one tries to live with restraint and all of that, there are the tools of the trade
that you must
that help you to do the trade. I get that. Which ones came before? The Hummers come before the Navigator and the Expedition, or were the Expeditions and Navigator before the Hummers?
No, we did. Yeah, I think the Navigators were. It was not graduation. Christmas morning. You can't just jump from. Yeah, I think Papa Keke had the Lincoln Navigator, and I had the Ford Expedition at that time.
Yeah.
And after that, we just said, wait a minute. Take this thing to the next level now. I want something big, bold. I want something out there.
That was something else. Okay, as we begin to round up, because look, you're tending now to one of my longest interviews, and we still have things to go. Because look, because I remember you and I sitting down side by side at a couple of shows. I will always remember 2. I remember us being first of all in Sueba. One night many years ago, and we were side by side, just having fun throughout the time we were there. I also remember being at there's this place that used to be opposite Mega Plaza, adjacent to Mega Plaza in VI. That was an event place. I forget
where we used to go buy shawarma.
Yes, I forget the name of
very first. I forgot. I forget
the name of the place now. So there are things we really could get into, but let me try to round this up. Look, I heard you say somewhere, which is amazing for me to even process, that all the time you were on AIT, you and Baba Keke doing AIT jams. You're saying that when you left that, you were broke? Or am I missing the trajectory before you went to go and start your own thing? When you left AIT, you were broke? Because I think I saw that somewhere, and that's hard for me to process.
Maybe broke is not the right word, but we didn't make as much money as people thought we did.
Yeah.
Remember, we were 2 young men just doing what we loved. Just having fun, enjoying the process, enjoying building something that we felt was bigger than us. We tapped into Dr. Dokwesi's vision for, look, radio should be something that unites, not separate in terms of, this is a Yoruba station, something that brings joy to everybody. So we tapped into that vision and ran with it. And to be honest with you, I really didn't think about it for the years that I worked. I didn't really think. It wasn't like I was wanting, but the D1 as at that time was not rich. My salary at then was less than 20K. I was not by any means stupendously rich or I had money, but I loved what I did. I enjoyed it thoroughly. If you wake me at 3 a.m., I was ready to go on radio. I worked 7 days a week. I thoroughly enjoyed that part of my life, but I was not financially buoyant.
Wow.
Yes.
So which one came first? Did you leave AIT and go set up your own thing because you had an opportunity, or you left AIT and there was a gap in the middle when you were wondering what to do next? Was it seamless, or was there? Well,
we had towards the end of it, like you said, we had some approaches. Some people that approached, like the clothing companies. When you do our programs, they would want us to wear certain clothes. Like, people didn't know. Because when we would wear those FUBU and wear those clothes and we say, oh, I'm dressed in FUBU, I'm dressed in...
Yeah.
We were being paid, a hefty sum to wear those clothes.
Yeah.
So people thought we were just showing off. They didn't know we were advertising. And the clothing stuff...
I know you single-handedly pushed Wrangler.
Wrangler Nokwebi?
Yes, you guys single-handedly pushed
As a matter of fact,
Wrangler.
Wrangler would tell us whatever we wore that Friday,
yeah,
on Saturday will be sold out. So if we wore whatever shirt and dungarees, and we say, oh, this is so.
I remember the dungarees, man.
Once they open on Saturday, everybody wanted to buy whatever Ashoti Kenny and they want.
Yeah. And
they will be sold out. So it was marketing for us. It was income also for us. Marketing for them and income for us. So towards the end of our stint at AIT, we had some of those approaches. So when we left and started on our own, we were now able to expand. Because when you work for someone, some of those things are beyond, you cannot tap into because you are under somebody's employment. But when we started our own, we were able to now market for ourselves, earn income for ourselves, and just blow things up and just do some of the things that we couldn't do. Not that we were really restricted when we were there, but just do Grammys at whatever time, do BET Awards, travel, do all the other things, and that enabled that. We could also negotiate our own fees. And at that time, people already knew what D1 and Kenny were capable of. So they placed us at an echelon where they knew, this is their market, or this is their price. So we thank God. So those years working were not wasted. It's just, I like to do the analogy of a bamboo tree. The first 10 years, it sows its roots, it goes down, and then the 10th year, it shoots up. And then, so those years were just the foundation being laid. But people don't see that. They only see the Hummer, they see the Bentley, they see the...
Yeah.
But they don't see the days when you were sowing the seeds and planting the corn. And
yeah.
But we thank God, it's all part of growing up. It's all part of...
So learning. Did you step seamlessly from AIT to your thing, or was there like a gap?
It wasn't seamless. So seamless. Okay. As a matter of fact, I
asked because I read the headline that I thought maybe it was sensationalism.
Hey, well, I think I know which.
You know the headline.
I think somebody wrote something about that. Remind me.
How my wife left me because I was broke. How my wife left me. I wrote it down. You can Google it. How my wife left me because I was broke.
As a matter of fact, that particular interview almost caused a rift between myself and late Dr. Dokwesi. I had to go apologize to him because I never granted that interview. I never granted that interview. I did an interview with somebody else, and this person lifted and took comments and portrayed this as if he was interviewing me.
But I need to use this opportunity. Why do people do that? I can understand wanting news, but why? Because I interviewed Dr. Ayuba recently, and I asked him why he bowed to K1 The Ultimate. And he respectfully explained that K1 was both older in music and in age, and that as a Yoruba man, he would bow. That makes sense, right? Somehow, how people were able to misconstrue that and generate controversy out of that is completely beyond me.
What did they say happened?
They said that Ayuba said that he was older than K1 in music, which he never said. What he said was that K1 released an album before him. He knows that in terms of who started singing first, that he doesn't know really that he had been singing since he was 7, but that he didn't release an album until after K1. So as to who started singing, he doesn't know. But the respect he will give K1, he will always give. He's older, release an album, king.
People, I think this age of social media, because people hide behind social media, they think it gives them the license to do whatever they want. I never granted that interview. I never did an interview with that person. I only saw it, I heard online when people started sending it to me. My initial thing was to go after the person. But in doing that, I would have even given it more attention. But I had to fly to Abuja. This woman saw it serious. I had to fly to Abuja and explain to Dr. Dogbesi that I never said any of those things. I never said, my wife never left me. When did I ever tell anybody my wife left me, that I was broke, that what? But some of them will sensationalize things. And for a period of time, I stopped granting interviews, even granting. I said, look, I'm a radio and TV personality. Anything I want to tell my audience, I can say it on my platform. I don't need to do an interview I stopped granting interviews. But then I had to rethink and say, look, only touching about Danny. You won't say because you had an accident, you never get. Or
in the words of Fela Nicola Pokuti, Etiku ba tomi ba pomwe. Omi no lo ma lo. Iku ni pa lo but I mean, omi bomi shota now.
Benny.
Water not get. You not get enemy.
So yeah, as I just said, look, you can't be saved because of one or two morons that misuse and deprive the others that have good intentions. So I started granting interviews again. But I never said that my wife left me because I was broke. I've never been broke in my life. I might not be where I want to be, but I've never been broke because I always, in my spirit, I can always get whatever I want in life. I manifest things in my life. I want a house, put in the work, put in the effort, and start going towards it, and it will come. So I'm not one of those people that will ever say such a thing that I never granted that interview.
Okay, Baba Oloye, my final question, and this is perhaps my greatest curiosity. I think to me that you must be a very content person in life. You must be a person who is able to work well with others. I see that over and over again because you're two friends, right? And you're running this label. And yet, so I'm thinking, the name is called Kenny's Music. It is either the greatest coincidence in the world that the name you chose for the label was also the name of your best friend. or something. I mean, how are we partners and it is called by your name? And I'm cool with that. And you were cool with that. I mean, so how did it come to be?
Kenny's is wholly owned by Kenny Ogugwe. I'm a director. Prime Time is owned by the two of us.
Okay.
So we have business together. We have business separately. I have business also by myself. We have joint business and we have business separately. But in all, we work together.
I would never have known that.
We don't put things and say, I mean money. So no, because we've been friends. But I John Mugari, Belepa. Is it now when millions are at stake, we will now start delineating and say, no, this is yours and this is mine. And so we've always been cool. We've always been friends, even when there was not as much. I won't say where there was nothing. But Keke and I, we've known each other almost over 40, going on 50 years now. We slept in the same, as a matter of fact, we graduated the same day, both our undergraduate and graduate. So if you were looking for Kenny in those days in school in New Orleans, you couldn't find Kenny. Just go to my house. He was always he had his own apartment too, but he was always in my house. And if you're looking for me, I would be at Kenny's house. So one day we just sat and said, well, Benny, wait a minute, we have 2 apartments and we're always in each other's house. Kenny will be in my house from morning till night. I only go and sleep in his house. Then the next day, me, I will go to his house. I'll be there all day if we are not working or in school. And Benny, do you realize that we're always at each other's houses? Why don't we just get an apartment together and And so for our masters, we got an apartment together and we started to, share. So that's always been the way we approach life. What's yours is mine. What's mine is yours. The thing is, what do we achieve together? What message do we send? People ask these questions all the time. How have you and Kenny managed to remain? It's not that we don't fight or disagree, but we don't let it get to the level where Kenny and I have never said, Ben, my son. But there are days that we disagreed. We won't talk for maybe 2 or 3 days. But once he picks up the call, Chinese, we've never sat down to say, we've never taken things out of context. So yes, we are both contented individuals. We aspire for a lot in life, but not at the expense of our friendship. Wọ́n ní nǹkan méjì ló máa ń fa ìjà ọ̀rẹ́, owó àtobìnrin. And my father always said, tó bá ti dójú ẹ̀, share. And that's where you put it together.
These old men sometimes, some of the things that our fathers.
The money can be shared now, and when that's left for you to go and decide, oh, she shares, but because about she might share. Well, Aborola, someone he advised me and to be honest with you, sometimes we got to those instances. I'm not like we've gotten to those instances that. I mean, money has never caused issues with us, but there have been instances in Mokoro I've been
that line alone was worth the entire interview. Also, look, Baba Oloye, do you know, by the way, that you've entered the rare class and pantheon, and I say that with all humility, of people whom I've interviewed now twice? In that class is King Sunny Ade, Adewale Ayuba, Pastor Sam Adeyemi, and Kofi. Now Baba Oloye. If I leave anybody out, I apologize.
I did your talk show.
Yeah, you did Face show.
The plaque you gave me,
yeah,
is still the back of my head in my office till today. I treasure it. And that was one of the best interviews. I had so much fun. It didn't seem like an interview. We were just having fun.
Yes, sir.
And look, I'm not one of those that give lip service. But sincerely, Teju, you're one of those that I respect in the industry. Aside my good friend Ali Baba, you're one of those few that I know you know your onions and you don't struggle. When grass doesn't struggle to grow, it just grows. And you're one of those that does it effortlessly. And that's why we are proud to call you the king of talk. You know what you're doing, you know what talk is about, and you know what it does in the lives of. But this is what we know how to do. This is what we know how to do best. And you continue to do it. Continue to make us proud. Continue to shine. You look good doing it. You feel good doing it. You seem happy doing it. And that's what matters. And when you're happy and you do things well, the money will come. So keep doing what you're doing. God bless you.
Amen.
God bless your brand.
Amen.
God bless the King of Talk.
Amen.
Long may you reign.
Amen. Amen. Baba Oloye, when the Oloye prays for you. Baba Oloye, look.
So congratulations again.
Thank you.
Keep doing your thing. And
thank you. I'm going to leave some in the tank because I still have things to ask you. And just in case anybody thinks I'm kidding, we have not even got into the whole politics area. That's still there.
History more.
Yeah, history more.
There's so many things.
So I mean, because you're easily one of those to whom I will come again the third time for another interview. So I like to leave stuff in the tank. We're going to get to that politics thing. We're going to talk it out. Baba Oloye, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me, Teju.
All right, sir. We're out.